you, everybody. So to start off, I'll please share my screen. Permit me to do that. So we are going to go into integrating learning and development in change initiatives. The topic got me wondering. And in this session, at the end of it, this is where you're going to take it away. We're going to have the think. Let's think about this. Have the why, the how, and a summary. So not too much talk. In L&D, we do rather talk, When we show action, people learn by different means. So that's what we're going to apply in this case. Talk about integrating L&D in change management initiatives. First of all, let's even look at this. Every time they tell us that, the quotes above are some of the quotes they tell us, which is change your thoughts and you can change your world. The only constant in life is change. Do you agree with this quote? That said, let's now look into the core principles of change management. So if you agree that the only constant thing in life is change, then you understand that for that change to occur, these are the 4 core principles that we've been taught that must happen for that change to occur. Again, you've heard that change is a constant, just as I've mentioned before, and that it is inevitable. So when implementing these changes, as listed above, looking at what I've listed here, do you believe in any way that L&D has a role to play? Do you think that you need L&D strategies to be able to make this successful? Can I get a yes or a no, or maybe? If that is the case, and this is believed, then we can go on to the think, which is that with change management comes fears, which is like the fear of the unknown. It comes with truths and the unknowns, because change means moving from my comfort zone to something unknown, right? So you have new procedures, new policies, new processes. You've got to prepare for threats. You have already prepared before. Now with the change comes new threats. Apart from new threats, potential threats, there's some that you haven't thought about that are going to come. What about those ones that you may not even know exist? Those are different things that you have to prepare. And those are the things that sometimes cause a resistance, okay? You've got to have new colleagues, new managers, okay? Ability to turn threats into the opportunities. Are we able to do that? We've had something that has been working for us. Why do we need to change it? So those are the fears. Those are what people think, and they put up a hold. They put up a resistance, right? So how can the organizations enable employees to thrive in this changing environment? And I'm happy that you agreed with me that L&D has a role to play. And that is where L&D comes in as to the rescue. Because there is a love story between change management and L&D. Right? How? Let's start with the why first. Why L&D? Why do you need L&D? Just like Simon Sinek said in his book, okay, that we should always start with a why. So let's start the why first before the how. And so with the why, okay, training is essential to change management process. You've agreed with me. Let's see how. Every day, what we do is to get employees to change on a daily basis. You conduct trainings, you ask them to do feedback, you do evaluation, you check and make sure that, oh, with the managers, after a month, have what they learned, has it made impact? Is there a difference? What did they lack before? So everyday work we do is to get people to change, okay? We work for change. We work to make improvements to organization and improve outcomes and ROI. So if we do that on a daily basis, then it's not rocket science to know that if there's a change management initiative coming in, L&D is critical in that, because this is our daily work. Okay? We work with employees on addressing vulnerabilities, forgive me, and help them, encourage them, show them means on how to go about to get the capacity to move over that and become knowledgeable. Okay? So that's one of the reasons that L&D is important. The other is that we know the skill gaps and we can predict changes. There's something, a mentality that we need to change. L&D isn't just about you sitting down and somebody will tell you, I need a training on how to use a new tool. I need a training on, no, of course not. That's an insult to the L&D professionals, right? We're not people that execute training requests, of course not. We hold constant, involving quantitative perspective of what people know and what they don't. So because we know what people know and what they don't, we can predict ahead and say, this change your planning, we don't have the capacity for this unit. This unit needs to do this. So you're already telling them what that needs to happen. If that change is going to be successful, that's where L&D, because you already have that data. So that's another reason why L&D is important. The third reason why L&D is important is because we promote awareness, visibility, and engagement. You know, when people are given a new role, they come in, what do? We provide trainings, we provide sessions, we provide one-on-one communication with them, give them ideas, pointing them to the right person. Okay, so we promote we are all in this together thing to help people become knowledgeable in any area of their weakness. So people are more comfortable with us. If there's something they don't know, they come to L&D and say, please, I need a training on this. I need knowledge on this. So imagine, in a change management, something they're not aware, fear of the unknown, who would they come to? And that's why, again, L&D is important. Because when you bring up a change management and say, oh, you know what, we're changing the way we're working, instead of working 2 days now, we're going to be working 5 days, we're going to be working till 6 p.m., they're going to get out of resistance. But imagine if you employed L&D and strategies into that change that needs to happen, and just using a small perspective, what will happen? People will engage more because we know how to carry them along. Great. Now that I have achieved the why L&D is important, then we go on to the how. How do we do this? First and foremost, L&D, we need to work on ourselves. Who are you? Who do you see yourself as in the organization that you work in? Are you just somebody that sits down and you come out every new year, you bring out a timetable for training, you call for vendors, send us training, you send training to calendars to employees and say, choose your training. They send it back to you. You begin to engage with the vendors and come back, argue payment and say, no, give me 5 people instead of, listen, I'll pay for 5, but 6 people attend, give me value. That's with that then becomes the reason why some people think you're not needed. How? You must establish yourself as strategists and enablers in your organizations, okay? Because you are the one that will help the organization to succeed in whatever they're doing, even if there is no change management initiative coming in. This year is the same. What are you doing? Are you looking at the business goal and aligning to say, if we're going to achieve this, I'm sorry, we need to bring in online learning. Oh no, we need to do this. We need to send all our managers out for training on this particular topic because they will need it. We don't have that capacity. Do you have a strategy plan for your organization? Even if some people say they don't listen, they don't hear, do you have, or are you just waiting to be told what to do? So that's how, first of all, let's remove, the roadblocks for ourselves. You must see yourself as a strategist and an enabler. Without you, a organization cannot succeed. Organizations have tried it. When there is a budget strain pull, the first thing they think of is learning. They cut down budget on learning. Organizations have seen the downfall of that. But are you strategic enough? Are you placing yourself there to able to make those informed decisions, provide data for them? So that's how we need to begin to think. Because by doing that, first of all, when the organization wants to implement a change, they're going to call the L&D leader, a professional there, to say, how do we achieve this? How do we communicate this to the employees? What do we do? And not just being told. Second is, when you want to run a training, for those that kind of work with outsiders, or not necessarily outsiders, when you want to run a training, what's the first thing you do? With change management, what the organization is thinking is, we need to make this change. We have a target, money, for the L&D, and so they come out and say, run a training on change management. Let people understand that change has to occur. Change a constant thing in life is change. Let's run a training. And then you go run a general training on change management. But then the first thing you forget, that the first thing you need to do as an L&D person is to do a needs analysis. The gaps. And in this case, for change management, it is to understand the resistance from the employees. Have a training strategy, first of all. How do I go about this training? Have a training strategy, develop one. And start, how do you start it again? By asking the employees, holding one-on-one discussions with units, departments. This change, why do you think it will work? Why do you think it will not work? That would help you to say, an opportunity to even begin to tell them what is changing, what is not changing, and how it is changing, and help you so that once you understand their resistance, you're able to create a material that will address those. So you see, you found your gaps. So you need to do that first. That is why L&D comes in. That's our specialty. That's where we come in. Because if not, if you just run the training, you're going to have people trickle in, and then people come in and they're not interested. And then as somebody is teaching, they will shut the person up and say, this thing is only for money, people like it. Why must we change? But imagine if you had done your needs analysis, in quotes, which is understanding the resistance, and you're able to answer some of their questions, curate a material that will address those issues, those needs you have, in quote, that you have seen. That's a start. That's how you go about it. Initiating and putting in a learning and development initiative that only, and I tell you, only learning and development professionals have the expertise in. So remember, who are you? How do you see yourself? So once you see yourself as an enabler and a strategist, then your first thing you think along is understand the resistance of these employees. Why are they resisting? Even you, do you believe in that change? Because if you don't believe in it, you will not be able to do anything to help others, right? Second would be, or the third would be, in our usual way, when we are running a training, if you are a learning and development leader in your organization, which is more of an internal, if an external person is coming to handle a training, you will say, please, oh, my people do not like this, my people have this issue, my people this, so you're going to do your content to match my people. Don't go and just bring a general thing. So if you are adamant about that, then when it comes to change management, you've got to also take that path to create a flexible custom training content. You can't just run change management training for everybody. No, you've got to look at the different units, different departments. In those departments, different employees. How do they learn? What is required? How would this change affect them? What is needed for them to understand? So different departments, different units would have different training content. Okay? So it is important that you think along that line and develop a specialized training that fits to their need. These are just running a blanket training. But the benefit is that each unit or department, okay, trains on things that they need and they understand fully. So that when the general management is talking about changing management, all I'm thinking about, all I'm hearing is, oh, okay, this is how it's going to affect me in technology. Oh, great, it's going to make my work easier. If everybody has this tool and they can work from home, I don't have to, nobody will be calling me at odd hours. Oh, fantastic. That's how they'll be reasoning and they will buy into that change. Right? Okay? And it also saves time. So you see how important you are as a learning and L&D professional or leader in your organization when change management is occurring or when there's a change occurring in your organization. This is key. And this is one area that we are sound in. Then the other one would be involving technology. Remember that you're creating custom, you thought about creating a custom content for people. And when I say custom, I mean customized. I hope is understood. Customized training, customized content. Okay? Now, I say involve technology in your strategy. Because of time, normally they say, oh, in 1 week, we're moving in. You've got 2 days, 3 days to run this train, to get people to have a buy-in, to educate them. What do? Involve technology. Technology makes it faster and fluid. I'll give you an example. The first thing that comes to everybody's mind is, in person, let's come and sit down, eat, talk, face-to-face. Does that work for everybody? I keep using technology because the department, for instance, they have too much to do. They're supporting here, they're supporting there. So will a 1-hour session every morning throughout the week work for them virtually? All right. Would the sales department do the same thing? Can you have a burst of 1-hour session with them instead of bringing everybody in and that day they come in? That means that they've lost business. People are calling them on the phone for business deals, so you've lost that as well. So you've got to be fluid and use technology, even mobile. Put it in on their phone so that on their way, when they're in the car going, they can be reading the things that needs to be passed on. Okay, people of certain ages, even the younger ages now, generation, like gamification, scenario-based. So you must involve technology in your strategy. You don't just think one way or one means of delivering your content. or deploying your initiatives to one particular way. You've got to be diverse. You've got to pick up different things. Then the other thing after involving technology will be to track content assimilation and feedback. You know, there's this thing we do in L&D. Some people do is they run a training, send me feedback. Once the feedback comes in, they dump it. They don't go in and review it. If you do a training and you do not do feedback and use it, it's slow growth. You can't even measure the growth if you don't have feedback. Now, tracking assimilation is important because remember that this is change management. So you want to be sure that what you've put out there, they've understood it. Okay? So you need to track assimilation, which will help to establish the understanding that is working. How do you tell your management that yes, what we've deployed so far is working? And you can track this during the learning process or via forms and feedback forms and surveys. Because for instance, if in that training, there's a particular session that people are asking questions on, once you run it once, getting that feedback, run it again, and you're getting that same feedback. People are asking questions on this particular content. Do you need to change your content? Do you need to tweak your content? Do you want to spend more time? Do you want to bring a different facilitator? Do you want to make it? So these are things you bring in. Remember that here we're talking about change management internal and how your L&D initiatives can help to make it a successful process. So not just running a training and leaving that. That's why I run 5 trainings, we run 5 sessions. You've got to use data to say, yes, we ran the first 2 trainings. We found out that 54% of the people found it difficult or wanted more information about the tool itself. So in the next sessions, what we did was increase the timing. You see, that is how you're being strategic. And that's how you're also being an enabler. Right? So it's important because it will help in making changes and also help the leadership, right? It will help the leadership to be informed and take decisions. You know that it could be through your training initiatives or let me put it as L&D initiatives, that a decision can be taken that this may not work. I'm not sure our people are ready yet. Can we leave it till another 1 year, another 6 months before we deploy? We might need to go back and tweak something in this technology. That's how powerful you are. That's how powerful your role is. But if you don't have that data, if you don't have those processes, if you don't have your training strategy available, there's no way you can count. There's no way you can count. So having said all that, I've shown you the why. I have shown you the how. And I'm being a bit general because we all come from different backgrounds. Okay? I've told you that one, you've got to be strategic. You've got to be an enabler. So you've got to think in that direction. I've also told you that if I go back a bit, I've also told you that one, involve technology. I've told you to have flexible custom training content, which is very key. So in having all that, you now again have to bring in an aspect that is important, which is being empathetic and patient. There you are, you've created this fantastic content, even you've given yourself a pat at the back, you pushed it out, but also have to consider the people. The time you're pushing out that content, I keep using the IT, is it a time that there's the shift in a new tool, and they're getting demand, so there's a lot coming to them? You've got to think along this line. And you see why in your role, you're able to communicate to the change management leaders to say, this will take longer than 2 weeks or 3 weeks to be able to pass through. Why? Because this is happening at this stage. This is happening at this stage. People will not be able to learn. People will not be able to understand. Timing will not be available. So you see how you are making a decision, or you're contributing to the decision on how change management can occur in your organization. So by the time you run this, if you just run content out a lot, how are you sure people have understood? So you must be empathetic. You must hear them out. You must find out the sales team people. This is prime time. They must meet targets. The company is complaining that they're not meeting target. And you now want them to come and spend 3 hours on the learning about something that might even affect them. See? So you must think along those lines. And that's why being empathetic or having empathy is important. Then patience, of course, like somebody says, it takes time to be accepted. So remember that in everything you do, and the same with the sales, who are the most important people in your organization? Somebody will put in quotes, the people that bring in the revenue, right? How are they, or when they talk, how do they talk? That they are rated as the most important people in the organization. They talk with data. They say, we brought in $10 million last week for this deal. We brought in 50 million. That's what people are hearing. Now you come in and say, oh, the training on change management will happen. The training on, people are going to sleep on you. By the time you come in and say, we have 700 staff members. Now, 35% of that, unfortunately, will need to have a face-to-face, while 75. So you see how data comes in and how you're becoming a strategist in passing information that will help them decide. And they can come back to say, oh, if the percentage is not ready for this change right now, due to the things you've said, I think we should delay it a bit. And impute or start implementing the strategies that we need to happen. So all I'm telling you today, in so many words, is to be able to integrate L&D into the change management initiatives. The L&D strategies, you already know. You're an expert, you're an L&D professional, you're an L&D leader. You've gone through trainings, you know what to do. If they put you to a role for L&D, you know what to do. But sometimes step out of that and see yourself not just as a process undertaker, but as a strategist. That is how, most importantly, you'll be able to put yourself in a change management process. Having said that, I'm also saying that in that process, bring in your A game, the things that make us who we are. Having said all that, we'll come back to being empathetic and also being patient. You've got to bring in that human in learning and development. Remember, you're dealing with people. People learn in different ways. You've got to hold regular meetings, communication. Somebody can say, you're talking as if you don't know how we work in the organization. How can I go hold regular meetings? How can you can utilize already existing meetings and come in for a 10-minute session with them. That's how strategic you can be. That's how in their faces you can be. Okay? Remember, the topic is, how do you integrate learning and development initiatives in change management? We know those learning and development initiatives. This is how you bring them in. First of all, you must be a I can't overemphasize it. I'm sorry. But that is the only way you can make impact in a change management process. So having said that, I come with a summary. At the beginning, I asked you, L&D, can you can change management occur without L&D? And everybody said no, it can't. And you're right. Without L&D, change management process will not be successful. But the first thing is, and I leave that with you, is how do you see yourself or your role in that whole process? How do you make yourself count? It first starts with you. Do you have a training strategy? What's your plan? You've got to be intentional in your learning approach or delivery. You've got to think about the different units, departments. So that your training strategy, you're putting it out in the different ways. You're working with data. There are 5 people, there are 10 people in this unit. They can't all come out for training at the same time. What do? I can use this for those people because those people are always on their system. They're always using devices. I can use e-learning and teach them that. They're game with that. Those are different ways you've got to think and go about it. Different tools. You've got to apply technology. I said that before. You've got to apply technology. You can't be fixated on just in person and virtual. Sit down and you're running it. People are as ghosts in there, just logging and nothing is happening. All right. So you must be intentional in your learning approach. You must think, think outside the box, right? It must always be the same thing. Can it be that there is a TGIF coming in and you put a fun way, a drama to L&D comes with a drama to teach them something about the change management. So those are things that you need to think and put in your training strategy. People remember fun. People remember things they see. So that's also one of the aspects. You must have an open-minded, forthcoming perspective, solution-minded. Somebody comes to you and says, or a manager comes to you and says, these things that are happening, I'm not sure I understand what's happening now. Oh, God, we've run training for you now, your team. People are not listening. Your team did not come. Is it people's fault? Now. See? Or are you working with him to say, what do you think works for your team? Tell me. How do you think we can deploy this to your team? You must understand the grievances of the employees. It must be that listening ear. When you hear their grievances, your custom content is aligned to that. Always be solution-minded. Be solution-minded. People love solutions. People love people that bring solutions to them. With your bosses, the boss says, we need to meet this targets. And your mind is, okay, that's too high. Next time, they won't come to you. Next time, if there's anything serious, they won't call you. But if you're already thinking of solutions, so when the people come to you, or when you're listening into the trainings and hearing their questions, you are already building, you're already changing your content. Then continuous communication is important. Continuous communication in your strategy plan. Do you have something that says that in every weekly meeting they have, there is a 2-minute session where a champion or where somebody you've identified will come in and speak again about the change, what is happening, how it's affecting them in those. So there's constant communication. Those are all parts of it. Remember, it mustn't always be a defined, straight-jacketed training. Remember that with L&D, there are different ways we learn. So you must incorporate those different ways. So with that, I say thank you. Thank you for listening. You must always remember in L&D, you are as important as the salespeople in an organization that bring in the revenue. People that bring in the revenue, you are as important as them, because you are, as they're dealing with external clients, you're dealing with internal clients. You're enabling them to be able to bring in revenue. If you don't enable them, give them the right training, the right environment, to learn, they will not succeed. So that's how key L&D is. And that's how how important you are in the organization. Only see that yourself and let the organization see it with a data-driven strategy plan. Thank you very much.